Overwatch, episode 258, featuring me, AVRL, Ocie, Siri, and special guest Tomathan.
I go after the dog is crazy.
Yeah, well, because I had to do special. I can't. Well,
That's crazy.
I left the best for last. What do you the fact that you were after the dog is like crazy good.
Oh,
because otherwise, if I mentioned the dog last, then all the glory for the dog. So I thought that's a respect thing. Like I was gassing you up, dude. I was gassing you up.
No, I understand.
Do you not feel that way?
I heard the dog's name before mine.
Well, I said myself first, so I mean that doesn't mean that. Anyway, this is crazy.
Anyway,
it's so great to have you here. I'm really thrilled to have you here. So welcome on the show, buddy.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here. Ready to talk about a great bracket, I'm sure.
A great bracket, I'm sure. And no sarcasm detected there at all. Yeah, we're here to talk about Korea, in fact. So we've gathered the crew to chat about the past couple of weeks of action. Obviously, we have AVRL on here, who provided an English broadcast for the event as well, AVRL. You had a good time?
I had a fantastic time. It's a really good cast. Good to be back on the broadcast. And I'll have to do it again soon. Yeah, it was a great final. Not a fantastic rest of the playoffs for Asia. And at least we had honestly a really fantastic final. That is worth a watch. I think the whole thing is probably still good to watch, but like finals in particular was like an actual banger, and we were kind of scared it wasn't gonna be. And then the whole Asia main event would have been a bit rough, but because the finals delivered, we actually thankfully got to have a fantastic series to end the regular season on. So yeah. But I will say, just because it's got to be brought up, fellas. It's gotta happen right now because you're both here. I will say, unfortunately, Ocie and Tomathan didn't watch the English broadcast. It's got to be said. They don't know what the cast was like. Neither of them know what the cast was like.
That is true. I have no clue. I'm sure it was phenomenal.
Yeah. I watched Korea, but that was on my own, to be fair, the English broadcast. I watched a little bit of it, okay? For Korea. For Asia, yeah, I will admit I like the Korean casters.
Can I make excuses for them, AVRL?
You may try.
I may try. Sometimes when I do an English co-stream, having other English voices in the back kind of like throws it off a little bit.
Yeah.
But if I have like Korean or Japanese casters just like hyping up in the back, then it doesn't mess with like multiple English speakers at the same time kind of vibe. That's my excuse.
It must be weird. I'm like the only one that probably regularly co-streams with English casting on as a preference even. And like
I do it as well because I don't have to say anything. I can let the English caster speak, and I just sit back.
Holy shit, this guy knows the strategy.
Yeah,
this guy actually legitimately knows the strat. That's insane. But yes, that's also part of the reason why I do it.
No, you're a great co-streamer, Kevin. You speak a good amount. You provide a lot of insight, so you don't have to do that. I just phone it in. That's
the joke, though.
Okay. But
yeah.
All right.
No, but it was a good cast. I had a good time. Hopefully we'll be back for more.
Yeah, obviously Leg Day as well. We had on a couple of weeks ago. So thank you, Leg Day as well, for providing.
It was his first time like properly, not this Asian main event, but like for the Korea. This like entire season of us doing the 2 weeks in general with the Korea playoffs included. His like first time properly doing play-by-play for Overwatch.
Yeah.
And I said this to him as well. I was like, we missed out on this in the Overwatch League and just in general because he's never had the chance to actually just be play-by-play, which was always his preferred role. And
wow, I didn't know that actually.
Yeah, and he's been better at play-by-play probably the whole time, but we just never got the chance to see it because he's never been the play-by-play, you know?
Wait, I forget. Did Leg Day do color with Jack?
Yeah.
When they cast it like a few years ago?
Yeah, he's been doing color the whole time with all of his partners.
But
he actually started out
play-by-play. Wow, that's crazy.
He always started out as color. When he first did like tier 2, tier 3, he was color. And then when he was picked up for contenders and he worked with Jaws, he was play-by-play and he moved to color to cast with Jaws. And then since then, he was just always on color. So he never got to do play-by-play again. But he always wanted to do play-by-play.
Yeah, I think Leg did a great job. So if you probably haven't done it in a while like that, you're probably a little bit rusty, get those rips in. But yeah, I think Leg did a great job. All right, before we get into the OWCS Korea bracket and all the action that happened in the last couple of weeks, we of course have to shout out our sponsor for this episode, and it's not other than Factor Meals. Ready to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to eat in 2 minutes, so you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Factor arrives fresh and fully prepared, perfect for any active, busy lifestyle. Lose up to 8 pounds in 8 weeks with Factor Keto Meals. Based on a randomized, controlled clinical trial with Factor Keto. Results will vary depending on diet and exercise. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfast, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. Eat smart with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/factorpodcast. Use code FACTORPODCAST to get 50% off. Okay, Solomon, my bad. The code is Factor Podcast and not Overwatch 50. Factor Podcast.
Wait, what? That's crazy.
It's Factor Podcast. Factor Podcast. You get the same sale, you get the same savings, but it's Factor Podcast. There you go. Make sure you use that code.
We used to represent all of Overwatch. And now, Johnny, I think we've been upgraded. Now we represent all of podcasting.
All of podcasting?
Think about it.
Look,
think about it.
Yeah, Factor Podcast, okay? I'm going to say one more time. If for some reason you use the 15-second skip button on Spotify to avoid it, I'm going to say it again. Code Factor Podcast for 50% off plus free shipping on factormeals.com. Thank you so much for supporting this episode. We very much appreciate it. Use code Factor Podcast. Now, let's talk about OWCS Korea and the bracket that took place. And there was a little bit of sarcasm at the start of the episode there. Ocie had a bit of a tweet as well about the bracket that took place. Let's just start it off real easy here, Ocie. 1 to 10, how good was the Asia bracket compared to the ones we had in previous years?
Compared to previous, I would say probably it's near the worst you can get, probably like a 2 out of 10, at least for Asia, especially after, in stage 2, we had one of like the best, brackets ever. And then in stage 1, it was pretty good as well. This is like, it was just rolls. I mean, we had some good maps and stuff, but it was just, every day felt like a little, I don't know, disappointing. And some of the matches, they just turned into absolute rolls where one of the teams, it felt like they were trolling,
One of them, AVRL.
This thing was bad.
I was like, I was in there praying, like, dude, are we going to get a good game here? Are we going to get something competitive? Is something going to happen? I even said on cast, like, dude, I think this Crazy Raccoon Falcons game, the 4 that happened, was like a more one-sided and worse 4-0 than the first 4-0 we got between these two teams earlier in, when did that first 4-0 occur? It was in the Korea bracket. Yeah, it was in the Korea bracket for the playoffs in the semi-final because they had a single elim. So it's super disappointing because it was just not competitive at all. And I got the feeling they were trolling as well, but I think now we realized they weren't trolling. It was maybe serious the whole time. They just kind of sucked. It's super weird, man. It's super weird how it all went down.
I don't know.
Yeah, go on.
I mean, rolling out on Oasis on what was the sub map there?
University.
It's University.
Yep.
Running Winston to start that and banning so that you can try and force Winston on control. Like, why? It made no sense. And they kept rolling out and like weird stuff. Like, no, that match against Crazy Raccoon, I actually think that 9K was just, I think he was trying to force something. I think he was trying to force something to happen with like weird stuff to throw CR off. And they actually played simpler in the grand final. They stopped taking like weird risks. They stopped making weird bans. I think legitimately, like some of these teams, like under pressure, they just fell over. And I feel like it turned into a bit of a stomp where like, once they made one wrong move, like that Oasis map, then it was like, oh, the next ban sucked, and then the next pick sucked, and every time it felt like a lot of decisions. They didn't make a ton of sense.
How did you feel about the matchups there? Did you feel like how many clips are we generating from this? Like, what are the storylines? What are the storylines coming out of this one?
Well, the number one is Zeta being awful, I think, and Zeta just like fumbling hardcore. Because like the Zeta matches in terms of like entertainment value, as someone who wants Zeta to make LAN quite badly, they were good for that, because it was just like, oh, we're going crazy, we're doing things. And then the worst Esperanza maps of all time, like generationally bad Esperanza performances twice in a row.
It's like 4 minutes or something.
It was 140 meters after like 3 minutes in the first one, and then the second one was just 4 minutes like total. Like it was awful.
They picked Esperanza too. It makes no sense. Like, why would you? There's no way that you watch Violet die 7 times in a row the previous day, like on Esperanza. He's just getting dead on the break against Crazy Raccoon, and then they're like, yeah, we can beat Falcons with this. That it's okay. Let's run Esperanza. Like, why? And they had such a good King's Row too.
They do this in like the lower bracket too, where it's literally their LAN qualification game. So at this point as well, it's like, I think maybe Falcons might have trolled a little bit. For Zeta, everything they did was straight up serious. It's just a classic Changoon Rascal moment, unfortunately, from what I could tell. If something has to happen in scrims, I think a lot of these things get decided in scrims, probably for 9K and Falcons as well. We talk about like the whole, situation with them running Winston on Oasis and running Winston everywhere else. It wasn't even just like in my mind an Oasis thing. Something is happening in scrims for all of these teams where they get a ton of confidence because they have like some sort of winning matchup or, positive outcome in a scrim. They're like, this must be really good. We must now be the best Winston team. We must now be the best Esperanza team. And they go into the match based off these scrim results, and it just falls apart. I think that's what's happening, yeah.
How do you explain the difference between, obviously being so competitive earlier on and then just falling extremely flat in the bracket?
For Zeta?
Yeah, because like we just said, like they were, going into this tournament, people were like, oh, this might be the time where Zeta actually, qualifies, takes one of these two
I think
spots.
they're a bit of an anti-clutch team, first and foremost. I think Flora is a huge weakness on that team still. Some people think Finn is the liability. I still think it's Flora because he doesn't have the hero pool. Is he quite good on his one hero, his extreme one-trick Sojourn? He actually is quite competitive on his one-trick. Problem is, we're not in a Sojourn one-trick meta anymore. We're in like a bit of an expanded meta where like you might have to play more than just Sojourn. Beyond that as well, Violet is still doing really funny money-getting plays all the time. Finn could probably be a little bit better, if we're completely honest. Burner is super easily bannable, and their coaches make super weird bans as well, sometimes a little bit weird drafting that doesn't help Burner and the rest of the team. And we just don't really see them clutch out very often, except when I think between Alpha Yi and Pelican, they have some good moments. And honestly, sometimes, very rarely, you'll see it on Flora as well. On a good day with Flora, and he's popping on the Soj, you might see it there. But yeah, you take the worst maps with Zeta, it's not a surprise. It's the Ash maps and any non-Soj map. Those are by far the absolute worst maps for Zeta, in my opinion. They just don't have the clutch gene. That's one of the biggest factors.
How would you guys explain the Zeta division to someone who's just coming into the Overwatch scene for the first time? Because you can pretty quickly be like, oh, Crazy Raccoon, Team Falcons, like the two best teams in the world. They're dominant. They have the best players in the world. How would you describe Zeta division and their aura? What is the Zeta division aura when you decide to describe them to someone who's a bit new, maybe? What's their brand? What's their label? How do you describe this?
The money getters.
They have zero actual substance, I fear. It's like all aura. And then you walk into them and it's just like there's nothing there. It was a mirage in the desert. Like it's bad like that, I think.
So it's a really, really scary team, but then you actually like take them on and you're like, oh, why are we so scared? Like what? Okay, Zeta division, a mirage. I love it. Ocie, do you agree? Is that a bit too disrespectful?
I don't know. I would say Zeta division is Bernard and then his minions, and Violet never behaves, and there you go. That's Zeta division. But Bernard is the one player on that team that I feel like is legitimately like really good at times. Like that is like the peak, I think. And then like you have some clutch moments, I guess, with Pelican. I feel like he was performing pretty well actually in this bracket. I know like they did like have disappointing results, but I feel like Pelican, he actually showed a higher level of play than I'm used to seeing from him. Like usually I actually feel like I'm not a huge Pelican believer, but this time around I was pretty impressed. But yeah, Bernard in particular, I think he's like super good. And then yeah, Finn and Flora, I'd agree both of them struggle a lot more.
All right. How do we kind of like leave this tournament thinking about Zeta division? Obviously, like a lot of disappointment, like we talked about, anti-clutch, but like going into the next, stage, do we just like run it back? Like, are they just perpetually the third best team? They bring a little hope. They have a good series in the group stage or stuff like that. But are they just perpetually like the third best team in Korea? There's no way we can fix this. Should they make some kind of change? Do you think, Gabriel, to this roster? Do they need to pick up some additional?
Yeah, they can finally drop Flora and get proud if T1 will ever let them go, which is probably not going to happen. Which actually, you know what? I think Zeta messed up in the offseason. If they just dropped Flora to start with and got proud, the team would be that much better. Genuinely that much better. They would have another player on the DPS line that is capable of hard carrying the team when required. That's number one. Bernard's really, really good. I do agree. I think he needs to either work on his main tank gripple the way Hanbin has, or they need like someone on their team. It's actually funny that like someone in Merit are still in the ether somewhere, still rumored for Falcons.
Yeah, where are they?
When like, as mentioned, like they would actually be insane for Zeta, actually, funnily enough.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. It's we don't know where they are. They've just kind of like vanished from the show. They're like characters in a TV show. They're just gone. And you're like, where they go? Where are they? I'm sure they'll come back. I'm sure they'll come back at some point. Anyone else have anything additional on Zeta division? Otherwise, we can talk about Falcons and Crazy Raccoon, or the performances we saw, the back and forth, and I mean, I kind of want to start here because it's the title, it's the thumbnail of the show. Tomathan, where does the Hanbinston rank in your favorite Winstons?
My favorite Winstons, like of all time, or like
your
now?
Favorite Winstons of all time? Where does Hanbinston, where does it rank?
I think the energy.
I will let you customize this list. I will say, sorry, I will customize this list as well. So it's not the best, We're not competing with Fearless. We're not competing with Ocie here. But whatever your Winston list is, where does Hanbinston fall onto that?
It's got to be top 5. It's got to be top 5. Easily.
Top 5, just like you
five.
See, you're like excited for the game. You see the Hanbinston locked in, and you're like, I can't wait to see this map. This is going to be an insane Winston map.
But it's like a fear. It's like it's really good. I don't know what to compare it to, but it's a whole different energy. It's not just like your normal, like something crazy is gonna happen. It's either they're gonna win and like, oh wow, Hanbinston, let's go, or it's gonna be like, whoa, what did I just watch? And I'm a big fan of that.
It's a little unique to just expand on that because it's like, you see like Fearless on Winston, and that's like one type of aura. Or like Ocie on Winston, you're like, oh my god, I can't wait to watch this Winston game. And then there's the historical, like we need someone to play Winston, please, like Hydration Winston, Regio Hong Winston, and you're just like, obviously, like, they're just subbing in here. But Hanbin Winston falls somewhere in between where you're like, you're as excited to watch as like a Fearless Winston, but you also know it's going to be a little silly. And somehow Hanbin will get the job done, but only sometimes. And so there's like a special, unique aura for Hanbinston.
What? How does it? Wait. Have you changed your mind, or have you just always held this belief? I don't believe you at all. Who gets excited to see Hanbinston? I dread it. He's not
from an entertainment factor. Are you kidding me? It's like I head into the map like a big unknown. I'm like, what Hanbinston am I getting today?
You need to reverse it. It's like not on the favorite list of Winstons. How about on the least favorite list? How about on the worst Winstons?
Do you hate Hanbinston?
No.
It's dreadful. It's genuinely awful.
Oh my god!
You can be a fan of bad things. That's okay.
Beyond that, not if you want Falcons to actually be a good competitive team.
Then they brought the overtime. It was pretty good.
But that's hardcore revisionism, because my problem here is that comment and the one comment on Reddit that pissed me off as well is like people acting like it was good the whole time. It's like, dude, you guys, not you, but like the people who have hardcore revisionism about this don't have eyes or memories. They don't have memories or eyes, because they suddenly pretend because of half a map, not even the whole map, by the way, half a map maybe less than half a map, because it's like physically speaking, the time bank was like not that long. Less than half a map, he suddenly learned how to play Winston, and Jimbin suddenly forgot how to play Winston, and now people are going to pretend he was good at Winston the whole time. It's like, no, you guys don't have a memory. He was bad at Winston the entire way through for several years, because I was there for Dallas Fuel, Winston, Hanbinston as well. People forgot about that. Several years, and then a 0-8 performance, and then people want to start pretending he's good because of half a map. Fuck off. That is so bad. It's honestly like unbelievably shitty revisionism, and I'm not here for it. It's not good. And until I see him continually perform well every single game consistently on Winston, he's going to continue to be a trash Winston in my mind. Half a map doesn't change my mind. Half a map doesn't suddenly make him good.
That's clear. But it's still right now, in terms of Winston's, when I load into the lobby, yeah, I just think, because I'm not cheering for Falcons to be the best. I'm cheering for like an exciting team or an exciting game.
If I'm a big Falcons hater, I would love it. This would be the funniest thing ever. It would genuinely be hilarious if I was a giant Falcons hater. But like, for me, who just wants to see like good teams, especially in Korea, have competitive games and not just have like Crazy Raccoon dominate the whole region forever until the end of time, it is annoying. It is annoying if like Falcons do this and just like play like awful. So
all right, Ocie, I'm putting you on the spot here, and I'm sorry.
Okay.
Are you more locked in the spawn doors if you're seeing Hanbin on Mauga or on Winston?
Definitely Malga. Well, no. Actually, I'm a Winston player, so I'm fucking mirroring that shit. So I'm locked in. No, I need to beat Hanbin on Winston. I'm actually more. I'd be way more locked in, because like if he's on Malga, that's just boring. You know, that's lame. If he's on Winston, I'm locked the fuck in. I'm winning now.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You have anything to add?
The Hanbin Winston, it's so funny. It's so funny because like his play style is so different from Jumpin. It's so different. And like watching his POV, I don't know how to explain this in any other better way. I don't mean this in a bad way. He looks like an NPC. He looks like an AI, like learning algorithm has picked up Winston for the first time. And it looks like he's just like studied like Winston macro, and that's it. And it looks like this AI has just like, like his timing is great. His timing is great. He goes at the right time. He does all these things, but his movement is so weird. It's so odd. Like there's so little movement. It's just, oh, jump, perfect bubble, bubble.
Just do flowchart.
Jump away. Like, yeah, it's actual flowchart Winston. Yeah, no, I actually think that's what it is though. I mean, if he's learning it in such a short amount of time, there's no way that like he hasn't just like watched a ton of Winston and done that. But his Winston, like there's like even his primals, they're so calm. It's just like, oh, jump here, primal, jump here, primal.
Yeah,
it's
you're
like
right,
with jumping, it looks like he's like
swinging. You're swinging.
Yeah,
just
there's
like...
no swinging. He's just like, yeah, his camera is so smooth. It's so odd. I think, you know what? It might be that he's playing Winston on a lower sense too. He might be, although I kind of doubt that.
Yes,
but I think
he plays
might
super
be.
Low sense. He plays super low sense. Yeah,
which is really weird for Winston. You know, that's probably why it looks odd too. But yeah, it looks like an AI's playing, and it's really funny. But yeah, also, I don't know what is up with his Winston, where he'll go for these random flanks and he'll just keep walking, and then you'll see him in like the back of the map, like on first point, he'll just like be on defense, but he'll be like in the enemy spawn. I'm like, where are you going? Like, it's just so funny. It's so fun to watch in that sense, and you know, I don't mind it.
I think it's really funny. I truly do enjoy it. So I'm sorry, AVRL. I know it's not maybe competitively the best Winston, but you can't deny the entertainment value.
If I was a Falcons hater, I can deny it. If I was a real big Falcons hater, I would agree. Okay. Because I just want to see Falcons be good just to compete with Crazy Raccoon, so we don't just have like one super dominant team and everyone else is a joke. It annoys me if Falcons do this and play poorly. That's my reasoning for it. I just want to see competitive games, man. Yeah. That's all it is, really. Yeah. But for the Falcons haters out there, it's super fucking entertaining. I agree.
Yeah. Also, even worse, we haven't even talked about this, but the Han ball. He has rolled out on that a few times. That was bad. It never goes well. It never goes well. He keeps doing it. And then he like half the time he goes back to spawn room before he even like goes out. Like it's so bad.
I said this on broadcast, but when we were in the pre-match, because it takes a while to get into games, sometimes people would have headset issues and whatnot. There was like 5 seconds on a pre-match where we saw him, because his monitor is tilted like nearly 90 degrees so everyone can see what he's doing. He was in like some sort of workshop mode practicing ball mechanics. And I was saying to like that, I was like, dude, We're going to see the Han ball today. He's already practicing ball mechanics in a workshop mode. It's happening. He's going to bring out the ball. It's going to be dreadful. So you could just tell. I feel bad, man. He's like just practicing so hard. He's like, oh, I'm going to be a ball player now. Mom, I'm going to be the next big ball player. And it's just dog shit, man. It's just bad. It's so bad.
Yeah, I mean, usually you have a tank player who specializes in like, you know, three, 4 heroes, makes the most out of it. Hanbin's just like out there trying to do most of it, right? It's just you're stretching yourself so thin. It's really, really hard.
I respect it, by the way, and this is me saying that I think Bernard should be doing a little bit of the same if he's going to be the solo tank. I respect that he's trying to expand his hero pool. The problem is for all of the efforts, it's just still not quite there yet. But however, I will say it was better than the Bernarson. They did beat Zeta in the Gibraltar Winston off of the mid off of the century between 2 off tank Winstons. Hanbin did beat Bernard. He got that going for him. He does have that.
It was easy as well. It was like the Berninston. It's not good. Like it's really.
It was way worse.
It's like not even like. It's despair. It's not excitement. It's despair when you see Bernard lock Winston.
I don't think Zeta Division won a single fight here. Did they?
I doubt it.
I think they killed less than 5 players.
Yeah, they
less than
got
5.
held.
Yeah, it was not good. It was not good. All right. Solomon, I know you just pulled this up, but I think we'll kind of shift over here to stop memeing about the Hanbinston and maybe talk about the finals, because it was the best series of the tournament, AVRL. You were quite excited about it. Just take us through kind of like this finals and just from the top, like how you felt about it.
Well,
what made this final so good to you?
Had a little bit of cope coming in because I feel like by now, having seen Falcons for their entire existence as a team, but also having watched every single player on Falcons on their respective teams and their respective journeys as individual players, but mostly as Falcons history, I just kind of got the feeling that I've seen way too many times where Falcons unbelievably hard shit to bed, but then they make a bit of a comeback. They make a bit of a turnaround. You know, we've seen situations where upper bracket, they'll lose, they'll crash out a little bit, but then it's like, oh, hang on a minute. Afterwards, they actually start looking kind of good. And, you know, they'll come back and it's like, oh, this is not bad anymore. This is actually all good. So I had a bit of faith. Now, I didn't think they were going to win the finals. I was like, this will be a closer finals. It won't be a 4-0. Give them a couple maps. I think we might even get a 4-2 if we're super lucky. Maybe it'll be a 4-1, but one of the other 4 maps they lose, it'll be a close one, you know. One of those situations. Surely by now they'll learn what their strengths and weaknesses are. 9K and 8 and Sparkle will stop trolling a little bit and try and force these like Ball and Winston picks to work. Spoiler, that didn't happen. But for the most part, he didn't play that much Winston, so maybe it did happen. He did play some of the Winston, but he mostly played the Malga and the Diva and stuck to his strengths for Winston, for Hanbin and for the rest of the team as well. It's always been a very DPS focused team as well, so I kind of just knew if anything good was going to happen, Stalker probably going to pop off, and they did. And to me, 2 things had to happen this series. I think Crazy Raccoon had to kind of slip up as well, and that was exemplified in the Gibraltar specifically. I even said this on broadcast, but on Gibraltar, it wasn't enough for just Hanbin and as Winston and for Falcons to lock in. It wasn't enough just for Chumbin and the rest of Crazy Raccoon to falter and slip up. Both things needed to happen. If only one of those 2 things happened, Crazy Raccoon still win that map. But both things happening at the same time, Crazy Raccoon's forgetting how to play the game. If you look at how they played, it was genuinely dreadful for the second half of Gibraltar. Like, they forgot how to play the game in time back. It's crazy. And then Falcons suddenly learned. It's like we switched places. It's like they got the HUD wrong in the broadcast and they put the Crazy Raccoon on the Falcons. Like, that's what happened, right? But both things had to happen for Falcons to win that map. And that's when I kind of felt the tide turn. And this is even considering the Falcons were already won maps in that series. And Lee Jung as well was only won because of a huge clutch by Chio on Control Center, where like final fight, he kills 2. They're 4v5. They have no business winning at all. Should have been a 2-0 for Crazy Raccoon on Lee Jung to finish it out. Falcons drag it to 3 rounds, win it, and then suddenly lead in the series. And then they have that Gibraltar moment, and now they're leading 2-1 in the series. It's like, okay, this is the moment where Crazy Raccoon are now like faltering. But at least they started to make a bit of a comeback and look super solid on subsequent maps until, you know, things got a little bit more competitive and Chorong died on repeat and Stalker and proper again, just having absolute god tier games. And yeah, long story short.
Ocie, Tomathan, did you think it was more Falcons just playing better than they did earlier, or do you think it was more Crazy Raccoon by misplaying the series?
I'm gonna put it on Shorong for. I think it was all Jib. I think it was all the moment Jib was won for Falcons. That was a moment that I think that's actually the moment that CR lost the series. That was it. Everything after that didn't matter as much, because if CR get that map win, then I'm pretty sure just off of map picks they should be able to win, right? So realistically, that series, it should have been CR's, especially after their attack, and I thought they had it when they got that good attack there. But I guess like I think the mindset with Falcons too is that, you know, when CR have such a free map win on Gibraltar, they want to take that head on, you know. And I think that was their goal, and that was their like goal with learning too. That's why like they even tried to do the Hanbinston, because they knew like no matter what, if we're always taking a loss in that map, we need to like turn that around. And I think the moment they turned Crazy Raccoon's like guaranteed win into an actual loss, that was all they needed, right? And Chorong, I feel like the backline, actually, in general, I'm not like I'm a Shu glazer. I think Shu is actually currently the best player in the world. That's my opinion. I think Shu and Chorong disappointed. Specifically Chorong. I think Chorong was kind of feeding a little bit and dying too often, maybe not hitting whip shots like he needed to. But you know, the whole team, I think there were issues, but I kind of felt like the backline was to blame. But yeah, that's I don't know. It is difficult to tell, but like Hanbin, he definitely played well. I think his primals were better than usual. I think his timing was okay, but he did have a ton of moments where he like fed like crazy. Also, I feel like his play style in a sense is just to like distract long enough to like let the DPS get value, and he just wants to try and zone the backline because, you know, that's what Winston's good at. That's why Winston is usually better, because you can zone that on a break backline. It's like, okay, if we can deny Shu for like a little bit, then maybe we can like win fights. So it's not like super impressive or anything. I think it's just the backline for CR fell apart.
You agree, Tomathan?
I don't know. I feel like it's a little too much on the backline to say that, because like it's like on the Jib, I agree that Gibraltar is 100% the turning point, and it's like overtime, and you choke your defense. Like it was literally like 4 chokes from Crazy Raccoon basically, and one of those was for sure Junbin, because I remember there was one time on their defense where he was just like on the coast, like way back over there, and like and he just died, and then they gave up the entire like all the map, and I think there was like a 1-fight win or some bullshit on the thing, right?
First point, yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's
like,
like
first point.
Yeah. And I don't know. It's like a whole team. The whole team, Crazy Raccoon sunk down. Falcons locked in a bit from their a lot of bit from their winner's bracket, right? Or yeah. And the intersection equals a Falcons win, I guess.
Yeah. All right.
Except for that one throw, real quick, except for that one throw from Jimbin, he still was the best player on Crazy Raccoon in the final, in my opinion.
That's probably fair, because there were some fights where he was like turning stuff. Like on Numbani, there was one fight where he like down both supports, he just primals and kills 2, and I was like, oh, okay, I guess they won't lose there.
Not only that, he was building primals at the end, 1 per fight. He had a primal every fight. It was unbelievable. Like you see in Crazy Raccoon's POV, they're like, how does he have a primal again? You know, it was ridiculous. He carried that map hard. He carried Survasa hard as well.
Mm-hmm. What do you guys think about the comps? I mean, I think Crazy Raccoon, obviously, like, sometimes they want to shy away from Mauga. You know, they want to play more, less stacked up, I think, than Falcons in general, right? And do more pokey and prody. Like, do you think those compositions, like, could still work? Do you think it was a compositional kind of matchup as well? Or do you think it was just, like, based on playstyle?
Well, they played pretty much the same comps, I think. I don't think there was any real difference in the comps that we saw.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main
not
thing
Gibraltar strictly, but there were a few times, like I'm thinking like Servasa, Legion Tower, for a little bit. I'm pretty sure they played a little bit more divey.
Yeah, I think they've gotten to the point where they have secured their specialty, right? The key to like the matchup originally was just banning out the Malga comp over and over again for Crazy Raccoon. I don't know if you noticed, but they were very careful about how they used their Brig and their Juno bans. They used them specifically when they knew they were afraid of that Malga composition, and they didn't use them when they felt like they could beat it with their dive. That's why like they held that Brig ban. It was a good decision actually holding that Brig ban to the end for New Junk City. It gave them a fighting chance to be able to ban out Juno Brig, since Falcons are the best Juno Brig Mauga team in the world. I mean, that's just a given. They are. They are so good at that comp. Nobody else can really beat them. Falcons can, Crazy Raccoon can, but it's hard. It is hard. So forcing like Curie Lucio, something like that, or Juno Lucio can kind of help, but still it's just it's really tough, you know. And I think I don't know exactly how I feel about it, but it's just like for Falcons, they just realized, okay, let's just start fighting Crazy Raccoon on their game, on their good maps, and then we have a better chance at taking the whole series.
I actually started feeling towards the end that Crazy Raccoon had caught up on the Mauga. When they beat Zeta on the Mauga comp, I was like, this is it. They're actually like a really good Mauga team now. I'm concerned for everyone else, because if Jumbin and Crazy Raccoon can be this good at Mauga, then that's no longer a weak point for Crazy Raccoon anymore. So yeah, maybe in the end, in the final, it wasn't true anymore. And obviously with Falcons playing well again, they back in form as the best Mauga team in the world. But it was getting scary for a bit. When you see the 0-8 Falcons, I was like, no, the Crazy Raccoon are currently the best Mauga team in the world. Falcons, they've lost all aura. This entire team's fallen apart. They can't even win on Mauga anymore. They can make it competitive, because even in the 0-8, they were losing in the Mauga mirror as well. So there was that moment where I did lose faith a lot in Falcons Mauga until they brought it back to the finals.
I think it was the Kiriko Lucio mirror is what they took, because they were Crazy Raccoon banned out the Juno and the Brig strategically. I'm not sure, but I feel like in that 0-4, they actually didn't have the chance to play the version of the comp they like the most. I think I agree with you, Curie Lucio. I think they are potentially better, right? Brig Juno, I still have this belief that Falcons have kind of mastered that. But either way, I feel like
I can't remember the sports.
They're fully capable of winning in most mirrors, just because like also in Stockholm at the start, off of scrim results, apparently Crazy Raccoon were beating everybody. They were just the best team in Stockholm, and then they got
in Mauga.
Yeah, in Mauga, in that Juno Brig. They were the best team at first, and I think it was also because like nobody knew how to deal with what was it? Heesang's flanks. Like Heesang would do that flank echo, and everybody kind of struggled with that. But Falcons, they kind of adapted to that. They beat that, and then they beat Crazy Raccoon. But still, it's interesting to see that back and forth over like who can master that Mauga composition.
All right, so Falcons win 4-2. They get the #1 seed, and obviously, I think we can take a bit of a look at the bracket for Champions Clash. So I know Falcons won, but if any of you were coaches for any of the Western team and AMEA teams, who would you be more scared to play? Like, I know Falcons won, but if you had to pick, like, we have to have either Falcons or CR on our side of the bracket. Who would you least want on the bracket? Does it even matter to you? But
You would least want Crazy Raccoon, by far.
Same, yeah. I think Falcons. If a Korean team is going to lose, it's going to be Falcons to Western teams, just because they lack flexibility, you know, and you can take advantage of that. They're easier to ban. Crazy Raccoon are really hard to ban. That's the thing with that team. That's one of the reasons why that team is one of the most consistent. I think they are maybe even stronger than they were in the previous year, just because of bans, because they have all that flexibility. So as a Western team, I mean, it's super scary to go against them.
To me, it's not even about bans. It's just pure aura. Crazy Raccoon are just way better as a consistent team. And Falcons, they love to drop spaghetti. They love to lose randomly. They lose randomly to Way in regular season. They just drop maps to everyone. The Dallas Fuel 3-1 Salt of the Earth meme continues to this day within Falcons. The DNA exists years later. They just drop spaghetti for no reason all the time. They randomly lose to OA in EWC as well. It's like, yeah, they're just not a team that are consistent at all. So if there's a team that randomly loses to an NA team or an EU team, it will be Falcons. It won't be Crazy Raccoon.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah. And Crazy Raccoon, like, you can just like lose to them and you're winning like one, like NRG Crazy Raccoon, or that one time, that was the most dominant match, I think, of the entire year of Stockholm, right? Like, it was like,
yeah.
It was like a 30-minute match after 3 maps. And I don't know if Falcons have that same like dominant, literally there is no hope, give up, just go next, go get your canes or whatever you want to go get, right? Like, and Crazy Raccoon have that. You care far more about like which non-Korean teams are on your side of the bracket. I think if you're a Western team, though, right? Like, I don't know how highly we rate once again, or how highly, like, it's about those after the two that you care far more about than any of the Korean teams.
Yeah, NA got lucky in this bracket.
This bracket is awful. Whoever cooked this bracket, we gotta relook, because like
they wanted put both the Korean seeds as number 1 and 2, so they're as far away as possible. Yeah,
I get the reasoning. I get the reasoning, but I don't like it. Even understanding the reasoning, and for me, it's not even because of like. I probably shouldn't say. I'm not gonna pretend I know what you guys think of the bracket in that kind of way, but for me, it's mostly because I don't want to see all the regions. Some of the regions be competing within their own region within the bracket. So, for example, both ENA teams and both EU teams are on the same side of the bracket. I don't think that's good, personally. I think China seed 2 was rated too highly. China seed 2 should probably be the 8th seed, and you can just see that like I'm pretty sure Crazy Raccoon have the way easier side of the bracket because they have China seed 2 and double NA, and they get to dodge VP. In my opinion, the best Western team right now is VP. So that just like that actually makes Crazy Raccoon coming second in Korea like the better seed for China, and it's like you shouldn't get punished for coming second. Sorry, you shouldn't get rewarded for coming second, right? That's just weird to me.
I mean, I think Space Station. I give Space Station a lot of respect, though. Like what? Okay, I know this is stupid as hell to ask, but like, could I rather see VP beat Falcons or Space Station beat Crazy Raccoon? I mean, I know you just talked about how CR has like insane aura, but I mean, Space Station are pretty good themselves. Like, they have some playmakers that really could.
Are you suggesting that they could do something to Crazy Raccoon?
Okay, I mean, we're talking the difference between like 10% and like 20%. So it's not like I'm like, oh, there's a 40% chance Space Station beats CR. I'm not that optimistic, but I at least recognize that Space Station has players who can like.
If you were a coach, and you got to choose which side of the bracket you wanted to be on. Can we see the bracket again? Sorry. Would you rather be in Crazy Raccoon's position or Falcons' position, replacing one of those two teams? Remember, once again, it's going to be China first. So you're going to have OA, VP, and Al-Qatsiyah on one side.
Well, okay, so then it comes down to like how high do we rate China? Because, quite frankly, I mean, obviously, I think you'd rather want like Nightmare and the second seed from China in your seed of the bracket.
That's what I'm saying. That's why
because you don't want the China first seed. Yeah, I get that.
Exactly.
And
that's why Crazy Raccoon have the easiest side of the bracket. That's what I'm saying.
Yep. 100%.
But yeah.
So that's why I'm saying like Crazy Raccoon coming second rewards them in the Hangzhou by being on the better side of bracket.
Yeah, I mean, if we want to have that conversation, I think I agree with you that. You know, as much as we want fairness and like we can rank seeds individually to like make the most fair bracket, hypothetically, like at the end of the day, it's entertainment. We want to see these are the only events we get to see teams play other regions, so that we want to maximize that, right?
You can, in my opinion, quote unquote, fix the bracket by swapping China 2 and Al-Qatsiyah. Because what would that do? That would remove the double EMEA, first of all. It doesn't fix the double NA, sadly. But it actually, hold up. You don't want the double China on the same side either. It was kind of weird. But I do think China.
There is one change you can make, but we're live on air, so I'm not gonna pretend to know that I can cook up the answer. But you definitely could put one team from each region on each side of the bracket.
Yeah, you could just swap an EMEA and an NA.
There's a way to make it happen.
You could just swap one EMEA and
There's something interesting.
That's true.
There's something interesting. The teams on each side are really similar with how they play and what heroes they play. You notice that? Every single team in the top part of the bracket, they all have like primary off tank. Right?
They're brawler teams.
They
have like this similar hero pools, and like it's actually really funny. And then all the bottom teams, they actually like dive.
Yeah.
Actually, I think if you're ever going to beat Crazy Raccoon, I think Falcons have figured this out too. You need to master dive. You need to be able to beat them on dive. I'm not kidding. That's the only way. That's one of the only ways you can beat them, unless it's like giga hard Amalgameta, right? But with bans in play, like I don't even think that's possible anymore, right? So at this point, you need to be able to win at least one map. You just need one, honestly. Especially if it's a first to 3 series, you need to be able to beat Crazy Raccoon on one map on dive. If you can do that, you can beat Crazy Raccoon. I actually think SSG and Nightmare can have a better chance at that than OWCS or Virtus Pro might. That might sound strange, but yeah, I actually think it's hard to tell, but maybe this could be a little harder for Crazy Raccoon than the other side. I'm not like 100% confident on that, but I do think that, again, Nightmare and SSG, they both have that ability, and they will take that mirror. I know they will. And like, I think we saw that with Toronto Defiant as well, where they were able to like actually put up a fight against Crazy Raccoon and Ilios, right? We saw that. I think it's the same effect with SSG and Nightmare, where we could see Crazy Raccoon drop a map.
Yeah, the bracket is going to be amazing for that reason. I think I just want to see like how Seeker and Sugar Free stack up against CR. I mean, I know CR is favored, but it's fun, it's entertaining. That's what I'm talking about here. So yeah, it's going to be a fun bracket. I know we don't have a lot of meat left on the bone there when it comes to the OWCS Korea bracket. Is there anything we want to say about Wei?
Yeah. I was going to say we shouldn't like exit without talking about Wei.
Oh yeah, that's how I'm bringing it up. I'm bringing up Wei. They didn't win a map, but hey, it's your moment.
There was an interesting moment where you said in a pre-match interview, he alluded to this potentially being his last Asia event, which I don't know if that means he's going to retire or not, but it sounds like he might be retiring. So I hope
sounds like a retirement to me.
I hope he actually makes a proper announcement so we know for sure, but that might have been the last time we see Who Are You, which really is kind of crazy.
I mean, he's 23. He's old now.
Yeah. I mean, in a way, sadly, but also like
it's been around for a while. 2017.
Yeah, yes and no. Yes and no.
I think it might depend on if Wei gets an org or not.
You think if you got picked up by a partner team,
Yeah, well, not a partner team, but like I think Wei as a whole org, like, well, right now they don't actually have like an organization behind them, like a big organization, so there's not much money there. I think if they get like a bigger org, maybe another Japanese org comes into play and like
I got one for you. I can tell you.
I mean,
here's an org for you. T1 keep Proud and Dongak and then rebuild their roster with Way members. I'm not even lying.
It's possible, but yeah, I mean, if he got on T1, then yeah, it would I think that would make a difference. But he's probably just like assessing his options. That's what it sounds like. If he wasn't like 100% sure, that's what I would assume. So, I mean, we can keep an eye on that. But Wei, probably the most interesting player was like Peppy, who came in at the end at each series, and against Falcons. We don't talk about the incident against Falcons, the Doomfist incident, but like Zeta Division, he actually had a pretty good performance. They almost won the map. Havana against Zeta almost took it.
Sorry, I was typing something. AVRL, did you have anything more to say on the way?
I think this is a team that has potential, but like they do lack in play quality a little bit compared to the other teams. In their best moments, though, they do play up very nicely to some of the other teams. Mostly it was Zeta. I don't know if that's indicative of the fact that it's because Zeta's the third best team in Korea. But then again, this happened during Zeta's like kind of good area, where the good era lasted about less than 2 weeks, guys, unfortunately. But when Zeta was considered like super high tier, I was like, oh my god, Wei's actually playing up super high to them. They're kind of cooking right now. This is kind of big. So potential is there, but I think they need a bit of firepower. I think T1 need a bit of firepower, so it could be a match made in heaven for both teams here.
Yeah. All right. That does it for the OWCS Korea bracket. And I have a fun little segment that I wanted to make here, unless we have anything to add there, anything that I might have missed here on the bracket. Since we have so many content creators here, I figured, what better way? Actually, I don't know how I started that. We're going to make a 5-man roster, an all-content team. And so for this 5-man lineup, it's not about who's the best in the region. It's not an all-star team. But I want us, as a group, to select the 5 players from OWCS Korea that provides the most content. And it could be funny content. It could be educational content. It could be clips, like moments, highlights. But an all-content team, and yes, we're going to include roles, because why not? So we need a tank, we need 2 damage players and 2 support players who provide content, who just like, they're just easy to make content about. Tomathan, I don't know if there's anyone that immediately comes to mind as like,
you don't
this
know?
is just...
You have to put Violet on the team. He's on there by default. He runs the team. He's a co-owner of this team.
Does he make content? Does he actually stream or anything though?
He does.
I was thinking about Violet.
He streams. He makes videos too.
I don't care what he does.
Yeah,
he's actually a popular content creator. Yeah. Another one. This is an immediate for me as well. Are we allowed to use any team from Korea?
Any team?
Any team from Korea.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say people who played in like the stage, but if you want to go beyond that, then I'm all ears.
Just in the stage, yeah. From the gamer, Profit for the clip dumps.
Oh,
they're famous.
actually a good answer. Yeah.
Yeah, those are super impressive. They're super impressive.
I was gonna say Frogger, but you already filled the main support, Tom. That's kind of crazy. I don't know what to say now.
Well, we can put Violet on flex if you want, but he's also not in OWCS Korea. Frogger isn't, so that's kind of tough, right? Like he's in. Are we talking about Asia?
I was talking about Korea, yeah, but
okay.
Sorry,
because
Avril.
he was in Pacific. He was in Pacific, guys. And it's so close, so close.
Yeah, I'd say limited to the Crazy Raccoon, T1, Falcons, Cell Division, Poker Face, Best Like New Era.
Hanbin, but only on Winston. He's only
Hanbin only on Winston. So we're just permanently playing the Hanbinston.
So,
I think Hanbin does have a YouTube channel. Hold on.
So like only 2 heroes. He's only allowed to lock in 2 heroes and no other heroes.
Yeah, again, just to reiterate, this is not about if they're a streamer, if they have a YouTube. This is about Tomathan's YouTube channel. This is about Ocie's YouTube channel. This is about Avril's co-stream. This is about making your content better, not about them.
I see.
Didn't include my YouTube channel, sadly. It's fine. That's
I mean, I didn't even mention any of my channels, Avril. Look, we're not.
Well, no,
we're small content creators.
This is necessary then, if it's that.
Solomon cooks so bad. It's crazy, Solomon.
Thank you, he's saying.
He's saying?
Yeah, for thank you, he's saying. The whole meme went everywhere.
Thank you, he's saying.
I think it was started. Yeah, it's just thank you, he's saying.
What was that about? What was thank you, he's saying? What was that about?
I forget
what
exactly.
I was told in my chat was it was Sugar-Free watching Tracer VODs. Anytime he's saying hit a clip, he'd say thank you, he's saying. But I don't know if that's correct.
Okay.
I think it was like a PGE and like Sugar-Free type of thing. That's like where it started, and then it expanded. But it's great.
Okay, so we wouldn't put in someone like we actually, I guess, kind of like took Profit as our like hit scan player then. You wouldn't say that there's like any other hit scan player that like could have taken this spot.
I've thought of Dodo because I just think Dodo's a really funny guy on New Era, but
you could have said Proud, but
Proud. I think
Dodo
Profit's
with his
good,
one
though.
clip.
For the clip thumbs.
Profit does actually make a lot of good clips.
He does.
So I actually agree with that a lot.
All right, Tank then. What do we go with here?
We got Tank. We got
we're doing with
Thoughts on
Hanbinston. I'm just making sure.
Thoughts on Dong Hack? Just for Dong Hack vibes.
I mean, look, the Dong Hack revenge against like Chio is like that's.
There's no way we spent 20 minutes talking about how entertaining Hanbin Winston was against me, and now we can't. Now I can't suggest Hanbin Winston anymore. You guys like died on that hill like crazy, and now we're gonna not do that. What's going on?
I have multiple hills. Okay, I own multiple.
It's an interesting conversation because like if I wake up and I look at my Twitter feed in the morning and something comes up about like Donghack versus Chio, like that wakes me the fuck up. Like I'm fucking ready to get out of bed. I'm like fired up. I'm like, hell yeah, Donghack.
Put Chio on the team with Donghack and then it's content. If you put them both on the team together, then we have content. I
like that too.
We have to put them both on the team. Put Donghack and Chio on the team for content.
Oh my god, no! You want Chio in this team?
That's a little cruel.
Well,
that's a little cruel, no?
I mean, we could have like shoe nades or just like because we're all just loving
Isn't this maximum content? If we're doing max content, one of
shoe nades is content, bro. That's
one of them is not good.
I did get over 100,000 views on the shoe video. Like shoe's a popular topic.
Yeah, but shoe and Hanbin or shoe and Chio are not gonna have a punch out, whereas Donghack and Chio are gonna have a punch out, and that's actual content. That's like putting Hardy and Gator on the same team during their beefing era. That's what I want to see.
Oh boy.
I think it's harder to make content like inter-team content though. Like it's like that stuff only came out after the team was done, right? With Chio Donghack mostly. Like, was that known at the time? I feel like it wasn't.
No, it was a rumor, and then I guess it was spoken about publicly, not by those players even.
It was Gator. Gator broke the news on that one to the public.
But
he dropped the info on that one.
I remember I was on the broadcast when Donghack got the Rookie of the Year award, and Donghack was like emotional, like shook it, and I was like, that's someone who's not having a great time on the team. It was very obvious, and there were some rumors flying around at the time. So yeah, I just live for that rivalry. But okay, we have to pick between Donghack versus Chio, and I guess the Hanbinston. Are we picking?
I think Hanbin is valid, but I just wanted to gauge the question of Donghack or Peppy even. Donghack, Peppy, Hanbin. I think those are the big three of content in terms of tanks.
The big three.
Those are the big three.
All right, it seems like we're going with Hanbin here.
I think Hanbin's fine, yeah.
I guess if you gotta float the Chio versus Donghack, do we? I mean, this might be cursed as hell. Is it even worth bringing up MCD?
I was gonna bring up MCD actually. I was gonna bring him up.
That's better for the West. That's very Western pilled. I don't know what his reputation is in Korea, but
I'd say maybe let's just play it safe and leave MCD off the team. It's not. It'd
be funny though.
Well,
it would be funny. Isn't that what this is all about?
I mean, I know the tweets get crazy engagement, AVRL, but at the end of the day, I think
MCD wants to go to China. We got this team's going to China. Hello, bring him on.
Oh my god, that would be huge,
right?
Okay, one more thing. We need Surmajet on the bench.
Surmajet on the bench. I mean, yeah, Solomon, don't cook up a bench unless you're just unbelievable here. I'm blanking as well. Oh, Solomon's cooking live on the show. Who am I? Oh my god, I'm blanking on the name now. Sorry, a player who played with Ri Jihong, made his own team last stage. Kalios, yeah. I think for me as well. I think Kalios is like bench on the team, but Kalios isn't on our team now, so wouldn't qualify anyway. Coach Thomason.
I'm the coach. Oh, let's go.
Coach,
we're going to the moon.
All right. Is there anyone else we kind of like missed here, like Finn, or anyone else you feel like might be left off the team here?
Yes, Vin could be a shout, but I mean, Violet just kind of owns that slot.
Yeah. Dart. I don't know. I don't know. I'm quite satisfied with this team. I like this. It's a good all-content team for Korea. Wow.
Solid.
So Solomon is just actually the GOAT. There you go. Thank you. Good luck, Thomason, with the content team.
Yep.
As the coach for that team. There you go. Those are finally exercise there. Okay. One thing, an additional content thing, because we're just doing way too much stuff on this pod now, is I actually forgot when we were talking about Crazy Raccoon and Falcons as well. I wanted to ask you all what your favorite like endless rivalries are that you could just like watch forever. Because my god, we've watched so many Falcons Crazy Raccoon games now. They just keep feeding us like the best Overwatch of all time. But I wanted to hear your opinion, like what are matchups, team matchups, historical team matchups that you could just like watch forever. So the first thing that comes to mind is like Vancouver Titans against San Francisco Shocking Goats. Like I think we could have just watched that for like 2 years, and the viewership would have slowly trickled down because goats. But at the end of the day, it had aura. Like that matchup was just iconic. Do you have any other favorite kind of like matchups throughout the years that you could just keep watching forever?
Yeah,
Dallas Fuel versus Shanghai.
Oh, great one.
Yeah.
Amazing. Yeah.
Shanghai and Seoul Dynasty in their peaks. That was actually, again, fun fact, is the longest running rivalry in Overwatch League history because they had played each other more times than any other two teams in the entirety of the Overwatch League.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that actually. That's a pretty crazy stat. Yeah. I do think that Dallas Fuel one probably is a bit more iconic to me. I mean, that one season when they played each other like 16 times.
So NA pilled. That's why you're saying this.
So NA pilled, yeah, totally, yeah. So many North American players on those rosters at their peak there. I think that was 2021. I mean, 2021 was just absurd, right? Holy. Yeah. because they played each other like every single stage. And then both teams in stage 4, they're like, yeah, we're going to take the stage off and prepare for playoffs. They had Fearless practice Wrecking Ball, I'm pretty sure. Gladiators, Shu had his moment on Havana against Chengdu. That was a great year, 2021. The last year we had with 6v6 as well. Tomathan, is there any kind of like rivalries come to mind that you could just like watch forever?
The first one that came to my head was Carpe versus second place, but those aren't teams.
Carpe versus second place.
Yeah,
you just want to watch endless Carpe losing in the championship matches? That's insane.
That was crazy though, no?
I mean, watching someone not fulfill, their ultimate dream of winning.
Maybe after enough games, he'd win one. Okay. Well, he won one in Valorant, right? So there
as a sub, right?
Sure, but I think he got his name on it.
It's on the Wikipedia page, so it counts.
In terms of teams, I think like the original like season 1 Battle of LA was like really cool vibes, like in that arena. Like maybe the team, like it's not the best, the highest quality teams.
No, it was, yeah.
But that's like one of the ones that come to my mind.
Because if I remember correctly, the fan bases were kind of even too. I think Gladiators probably had slightly more fans, but like both fan bases would show up and like cheer against each other in the Blizzard Arena. So that was pretty cool. And both teams were pretty good, if I recall correctly. Obviously, Valiant.
Yeah, they were both like, especially once Glads got Fissure, they were both like reasonable teams, right?
Yeah, I mean, talk about a wild card, Fissure.
I got another one.
Yeah,
I got the Zhou Hangzhou versus Guangzhou.
Ooh.
They had many games versus each other. Some very competitive games. I remember specifically pretty sure this was the last year as well. Yeah, it was. This was 2023 when there was a period of time with Jimmy on Hanzo with Piggy on the team still. This must have been stage 1. And Guangzhou were genuinely the best team in APAC at the start of the year. And I remember we're like, holy fuck, how are they doing this? How are Guangzhou the number 1 team in APAC right now? And there was a very Pog is like top tier APAC rivalry between them and Hangzhou Spark, who are another obviously top tier team because it's the Spark. So yeah, it was like a very good rivalry, but they had obviously an ongoing rivalry as the two Zhou teams forever since the start of the Overwatch League, really. So that was another very long running fun rivalry.
Yeah. I think that kind of any other Overwatch League team that kind of come to mind here. I mean, with Tomathon, when you said Carpe versus second place, or as second place, come to mind was just Shanghai Dragons versus winning in season 1. But I mean, that's also just a feels bad.
How about Vegas versus Eternal?
Vegas versus Eternal.
No, Valiant versus Vegas in terms of like them both being the bottom. What was this? 2021.
I mean, the toilet bowls were crazy. Yeah.
London and Vancouver as well for just both being at the bottom.
Yeah, the breadsticks era.
Funny.
That was breadsticks era, right?
Breadsticks. Vancouver versus breadsticks.
More of a collaborative effort that they couldn't quite piece together, I suppose.
That was the best ever sponsorship for Pizza Hut because they never had to pay out and they got infinite good coverage and like positive marketing for it.
I remember they made their own pizzas. We highlighted them on our Plat Chat episodes. They made like their own pizzas as well.
The fried wiener pizza, that one goes hard.
Oh my god, just absurd. But yeah, I think those were some favorite rivalries. We went from Team Falcons against Crazy Raccoon, Vancouver Titans versus Shock, to the toilet bowl in a matter of like 10 minutes. So
can I ask Tomatin something, because he brought up something interesting. You obviously brought up the Carpe second place. How do you feel now about the Pelican second place? Because with Carpe gone, the new bridesmaid of Overwatch is actually Pelican. If you look at his Wikipedia, this guy outside of contenders has only come second place in tier 1.
It's actually a disgusting Wikipedia page.
Oh no.
Oh no. You're so right.
Oh.
And here's a real fun one as well. Just like Carpe, in his debut season in the Overwatch League, Pelican came second place. Rookie of the Year 2021, Atlanta Reign comes second place. And then never comes first place. Carpe debuts, Overwatch League, comes second place.
Wow, this is actually an insane...
How good is that, guys? How good is that?
History repeats itself.
Wow. I'm even more of a Pelican fan now.
And he's so good. Not that Carpe wasn't, but Pelican is so fucking good.
Yeah.
But he just can't win. and it's because of Violet.
Well, I kind of feel the same for Pelican. I mean, I feel the same for Pelican. I'm like, whenever I watch Pelican play, and I know also we might have different opinions on this. Like I just historically I've been like a Pelican fan. I just like, so I like watching Pelican play. Now I'm even more of a Pelican fan. I'm like, get your trophy, come on, get the win, gotta break the curse. Can't just have 2020 season 1 Korea as your one. kind of win there. All right, but I think that kind of does it for this episode. We don't have much else to talk about, but I appreciate Ocie, Thompson, AVRL stopping by, talking about some OWCS Korea. Fun having you on. We have one last segment, and it's Bren's Player of the Week, where sometimes it's a player, sometimes it's not. It can be anyone you want. Just someone who did something the past week, essentially. I think, I don't know how else to explain the award. Just make a case for it. Thomathan, who's the first person that comes to mind for whatever reason? Could be anyone in anything.
It might be. We've talked about him so much. It might just be the Hanbinston still. Like
it might just be the Hanbinston.
There's a reason we've talked about him for so long. No, there's something there. He got the win. He got a win on it, and I think that's good enough, right? That's good enough for what he was looking for. So I'll take that. The easy answer, I suppose.
AVRL, Ocie?
Yeah, I have to. I think it has to be Hanbin. Like, it's kind of hard to make a case for anyone else.
No, he's not a good player. I'm gonna go for.
You're such a hater, man. Oh,
I can't be a hater if I voted for him for player of the match. To be clear, I did vote for him to get his player of the match, but I will say I'm not gonna self-nominate here, so I'll just nominate Leg Day instead. For the comeback on the cast, for being able to finally, first of all, return to Overwatch after a good year of not being here for 2024 at all. Finally getting the cast play-by-play, and yeah, we just had a fantastic playoffs with both Korea and Asia together. So yeah, I won't self-nominate, but I will nominate him.
A Leg Day has to win it in some capacity. So do you mind if we do a split? Leg Day, Hanbinston for Bren's Player of the Week?
Sure.
Yeah, Leg Day also performed for the entire playoffs instead of half a map.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh. AVRL, such a Hanbinston hater. All right. Okay. Well, I guess what do you think? Should we just give it to Leg Day? Is that the right thing to do?
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
All right.
Okay.
Let's not. There you go.
Oh.
Perfect. Oh my god. All right. We're wrapping up the episode. We're wrapping up this episode. Ocie, AVRL, Thompson, thank you so much for joining us for Plat Chat episode. I think it's like 248. No, 258? Something like that. All good. There'll be another one next week, and we'll keep going in perpetuity until probably, who knows. Goodbye, everybody. See you next week.
Who knows?